Hi, this is part 4. I actually just recorded this part 4, but pushed a button and boom, it was gone. So, okay, I had a new psychiatrist who was not as convinced as I was about my self-diagnosis of depersonalization disorder. So she ordered numerous tests, written and verbal tests, and a new brain scan. Since the last one had been done 6 years earlier and I didn't have it anywhere, we couldn't find it, so after all these tests and whatnot, she told me that she thought I was suffering from a rare form of schizophrenia. I was surprised and not completely convinced. So I made an appointment to discuss the results of my tests with the individual that had actually performed the tests, because I wanted to see where they were coming from. And after discussing the results with her, I realized they weren't really solid results, and they were based loosely on suggestion. Some of the methods I felt were poor. At the end of the meeting, she actually said to me, "Oh, you don't have schizophrenia." So I was really confused now. I went back to my psychiatrist and told her what this individual had said. And then my psychiatrist said, "Oh, well, I just talked to this woman who did the tests, and we both came to the conclusion that you do have schizophrenia." I wasn't really convinced, so I asked for a referral to a psychosis specialist. I was looking for an independent investigation, but I didn't get one. The specialist the psychiatrist sent me to knew her quite well, and of course had discussed her findings with him prior to our appointment. Now it gets even more confusing. During my appointment with the specialist, he said pretty much the same thing the individual who had done those previous tests on me said. And he said, in quotes, he said, "It's definitely not schizophrenia." But get this. During the second half of the appointment, he changed his diagnosis to a rare form of schizophrenia. Some of you may or may not know, depersonalization and derealization are actually symptoms of schizophrenia. But I had really, my insight into my illness, and the fact that I knew that what is real and what isn't real, it made it difficult to accept and difficult to diagnose, I would say. But it was quite apparent to me that the symptoms of depersonalization disorder accounted for most of my symptoms. So I decided I was in between the two. But after all of this confusion, I realized it didn't really matter what my diagnosis was or diagnoses. What I really needed was just a reduction in my symptoms, and I knew that it would come through medication because I tried other forms of therapy, such as mind therapy, meditation, relaxation, exercise, yoga, natural supplements, but none of this cut it for me. The only relief I ever got was when I was sleeping, only if I wasn't dreaming about depersonalization or having a dream where I'm extremely depersonalized, which happens sometimes. And my symptoms were not something you could just sort of distract yourself from and forget about for a while. They were so severe. They were constantly on my mind. It was like someone screaming in your ear and you just can't tell them to go away and stop it. It's just always there, always there, right in your face, affecting every single thing you do. I'd been on Paxil for some time, and this medication really did help a lot with various symptoms, so it really did decrease the perceived time lapses that I was having. My insomnia got better, some of my social anxiety got better, certain symptoms of it, such as when I'm walking down the hallway in school after being on Paxil, I wasn't focused as much on how I should be walking, how fast I should be walking, how should my arms be, how should my jaw be, where should my eyes be looking, should I stand up really straight, all these stupid thoughts. So at this point my mother and her boyfriend became much more supportive, which really did help a lot. My psychiatrist gave me a support worker and got me on disability benefits. And getting onto disability was really, really nice for me because it was like taking a break from life. And I was able to just focus on getting better. I took a break from school as well. And it was good because someone finally had recognized that I was going through something that was so difficult that it was, severely affecting me. And even though I didn't like what they were calling it, I still felt just relieved to know that it is real, just assurance that I do need a break and I do need to be on disability. It was really, really nice. And I started trying different medications. She got me on Seroquel, and being on disability and getting on Seroquel were two really big, important steps for me that really have helped me. So Seroquel is an antipsychotic or tranquilizer, and it's not just used for schizophrenia, it's also used for anxiety disorders and insomnia. It does help with certain symptoms, such as being disoriented. I can go into a mall, and now when I go into a mall, I can go into a store and come back out and still know in which direction I was walking. But I've developed short-term memory issues and a lot of weight gain, about 40 pounds, and excessive daytime sleepiness. So unfortunately, because of the sleepiness, I ended up getting on another medication. Actually, not unfortunately. Fortunately. I'm now on something called modafinil. It's also called Provigil or Alertec. And it is used to treat people with narcolepsy. But for me, it's actually keeping me out of bed. I used to, every day I would try and have a nap, and I'd be lying there in bed for about 3 hours a day, not being able to sleep. Because my brain was overactive, but being completely exhausted and not able to do anything else. And every time I'd get up frustrated because I couldn't sleep after trying for hours, I would feel even more tired. So essentially I was exhausted for all day, every day, and I mean, it was so bad, it was to the point where I couldn't even really get out of my car to get gas even when it was on empty. I just thought, I'll do it later, I'm tired. Okay, so I'm still wanting to try different meds and different types of treatments, which I will talk about in another video actually, hopefully soon. So did I have any warning signs prior to the onset of my illness? Well, there's a few ideas that come to mind. I did display large amounts of anxiety, including major social anxiety as I started to enter puberty. And looking back, my level of personal organization greatly declined. As a child, I recall labeling my outfits for school according to the day of the week I was going to wear that outfit. And my room was always extremely neat and tidy. I'd spend hours in there just organizing it. And that neatness declined over the years, leading up until my illness. But I wonder if that was attributable to the fact that I acquired more and more responsibilities and was very busy with extracurricular activities. No one in my extended family has ever had schizophrenia or depersonalization, but depression and anxiety are quite common. One other weird thing that I remember is, actually two things. Sometimes when I was sitting alone in my bedroom, I don't know, thinking and doing something completely normal, my thoughts would all of a sudden sound like they were someone else's. Literally, the tone, the speed at which it was occurring just changed in my head. And even if I tried speaking, it would sound like I was talking really quickly and sort of angrily, just like they were coming from someone else. It was really, really bizarre. I knew they weren't, though. I just thought, wow, this is weird. So this entire ordeal, I mean, the crap and the torment that I went through is just not expressible in words. It was terrible. This is me trying to express it. It was torturous. It was debilitating. Extremely depressing, extremely frustrating. I never actually attempted to commit suicide, but the thought had been on my mind for nearly 10 years. And to be honest, probably up until a year ago, I would rather have died than gone through what I'd gone through. I'd simply just rather have died before any of this happened. I do miss my old self. I rarely enjoy life, although that has improved. It's a daily, minute by minute, second by second struggle to live. I was and still am a bit worried about the future and wish I could just come back into my life. In a way, I feel like I've had to mourn the loss of a life and the loss of my own life. Who I was just died, and I've kind of buried that person. So from this, I've learned to never be too comfortable in any situation, because things can change in the blink of an eye. And I've also developed a burning desire to share this with everyone, my story. If I can prevent this from happening to just one person, then I guess I could say that what I've gone through is meaningful and has purpose. I want to prevent the triggering of a mental illness through drug use, particularly ingestion of marijuana. I know that, and I will talk about this later, there are a lot of aspects about marijuana that are extremely helpful for many people, but I do believe the marijuana that I ingested was, the amount of THC in it was much higher than a chemical called cannabidiol, which is essentially the natural antidote to THC. And I will address that, I believe, in my next video, which I hope to make very soon. Let's just say I'm looking into getting a license to grow hemp, and not for the THC, for something called cannabidiol. I've concluded that I was overly sensitive to the marijuana because I had a genetic predisposition. The marijuana brought about an illness in me that may or may not have developed later on in life. So, yes, this is rare. I mean, it doesn't happen that often. Unfortunately, there's no way to know for sure if you will react in the same way that I did, and there's no way to know how many times you'll need to smoke it in order for something like this to happen, whether it be permanent or temporary or episodic. Yeah, if I could go back in time, I would have never tried marijuana, knowing what I know now. And yes, like I said, oddly, I am looking into growing hemp for cannabidiol, not THC, because I'm, like I said, predisposed genetically to react badly to THC. So more on that one next time. Alright, I finally finished. I hope this one works, and it's still going to cut me off, so I'm just going to keep recording here for about 15 more seconds. And thanks for watching. I love the comments that I'm getting from a lot of you guys, and I will address those comments in a later video. Yeah, and don't give up. Try anything and everything possible to get better, if not for yourself, for those that love you.